Morning, my peoples. How we doing today? The director signing on, man. All about getting to that next level. And today we're gonna try and get you to the next level in your walk with Christ. And that comes through understanding, right? When we read His Word, we're trying to understand it, right? So therefore, we can not only preach on to others, right? But we want to ingrain it within our hearts, so that way that we are changed, we are renewed of a new mind. That way we can give it to others. So let's get started. What I'm telling y'all today, man, is that when I read the Bible, I learn to develop understanding in about like 3 phases, okay? So first is physically, right? So whatever I'm reading, right, I look to see it at face value, right? So just knowing simply what went on, right? I know in Daniel 4, right, it talks about King Nebuchadnezzar in a dream with a tree, right? And so that's exactly what I mean by like face value, right? Okay, here, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about a tree. People came to interpret it. They didn't really understand it, right? You caught up on Daniel, da-da-da. You understand that at face value, nothing else. Okay, so you just know what went on. And then you understand conceptually, all right, what is the concept throughout this story, throughout these verses to be learned, right? And okay, let's read about it. Let's read, look further, right? So if you know the story is, I'd recommend you guys go to Daniel 4, look at the story, right? But let's see, like some of the themes that come up, having too much pride in oneself will cause you to fall. Let that be a theme. And last, it ties in with conceptual, but think relationally, right? Okay, so well, how am I learning? How does it relate to other things in the Bible? How does it relate to me? How does it relate to everything? How does it fit into the big picture, right? And so, like, okay, first things first, what other things in the Bible does it relate to, right? You know, the Bible, has so many references literally across the whole thing, right? For that specific story, you can look at Proverbs 16:18, right? Or when God is speaking to someone, right? Look at, like, I don't know, Jeremiah 23, or like I said, maybe how it relates to your life. And then you should ask yourself, especially if you're thinking along those lines, is this something in which I experience, and is this something I know now how to navigate, right? So it's like, okay, this happened before in the past, right? I never really knew how to navigate it before, but now I have that knowledge and understanding now to be able to navigate it better for the future, right? Or maybe this has never really happened to you, right? And it's like, okay, you came across a story, right? How can you ingrain the knowledge in yourself, right? How can you, hide it in your heart? Therefore, you don't make the same mistake as others, right? And that's also a big thing, is learning from others, especially in the Bible, on what not to do, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't know how they fell, how they did this. And I'm not saying it's going to stop you from that, right? But of course, we're called to do the best that we can do to serve God. So, putting forth that effort to learn other people's mistakes, therefore you don't repeat them, and so you know better for the future, is a big thing, man. So anyway, the director signing out. I love y'all, man. Y'all take care.